This video is sponsored by Manta Sleep. The most valuable comic book in the world is an issue of Superman that sold for $5.3 million. And it's not alone, with stories popping up all the time about old comic books selling for truly insane prices. But why? But also, if there is a most valuable comic, then surely there must also be a least valuable comic, right? Well, the answer is actually surprisingly difficult to pin down, but I have an idea. By learning what makes a comic book valuable in the first place and then running in the complete opposite direction, I think we'll be able to get our hands on the most worthless comic book out there. And spoiler warning, it gets a little bit chaotic. The first major factor in a comic's value is whether or not it's something called a key issue. Take a look at the top sellers. They're usually the first appearances of important characters. Tales of Suspense number 39 is the first appearance of Iron Man, and Detective Comics number 27 is the first appearance of Batman, just to name exactly two. However, key issues are any comic that has significance. It could be the first time that a character puts on an iconic costume. It could feature the death of a beloved hero. Or the issue could be more unique, like there's the time that DC accidentally showed Bruce Wayne's Batpole, or the storyline where Punisher got a skin graft and became a black guy. It can even be a cover depicting light bondage that caused a psychologist to create a fear campaign against the entire comic industry. What's really interesting though is that every issue of a comic is special to at least one fan out there. For example, this issue of Cable is really important to me because it's the first comic that I ever read. Now, it's really boring and so complicated that it overwhelmed my little child brain and it convinced me that I wouldn't like comics, and it took me years and years to finally get into the medium, but it's important in my journey. However, for most other fans, this issue doesn't have any real significance, which makes it a prime candidate for being the least valuable of all time. But if we go to the Marvel Wiki, then we can see that it features the death of a character named Foxbat, and it's the first time that the villain Genesis takes up that mantle. Those are two characters that I am almost certain that you've never heard of, but even though they are extremely minor figures in comic history, that issue of Cable still has some degree of significance, which really goes to show that finding a comic that's not a key issue is going to be a lot easier said than done. A big reason why that's going to be a problem is because around the start of the 90s, older key issues selling for crazy high amounts at auctions became headlines all across America. This caught the attention of many non-comic book fans who analyzed what kind of books were selling for big money, and they started buying comics left and right, hoping that they'd keep them in a safe for a few years and then flip them to become millionaires and retire early. Comic publishers took note of this and started pumping out books specifically catered to this new bubble of speculators. Brand new characters hit the shelf every week, and new number ones popped up with collector's item written in big, bold letters. Major characters were constantly being killed off and or given radical new costumes, and publishers started releasing multiple different covers for each and every issue with crazy gimmicks like foil embossing, holograms, and glow-in-the-dark ink. But because so many people were buying these new mass-produced key issues, they lost their value pretty much instantly. After all, if everyone already has the next $1 million comic, then no one does. No one is going to rebuy those from a seller who's hoping to make a massive profit. Because here's something that speculators didn't know about a comic's rarity. Most of the most expensive comics are old and they practically don't exist. Because back in the day, comics were seen as a disposable medium. You'd grab a comic off the newsstand, read it, and then throw it away. Collecting really wasn't a big thing, and even then, most of these books were being printed around World War II, and because of a paper shortage, civilians were encouraged to recycle as much as they could for the war effort. That means that at the end of the day, there just aren't that many copies of early Batman, Superman, and Captain America comics out there. So the ones that are left are like holy grails in the collecting community, especially ones in good condition, since over the decades, there have been multiple opportunities for them to get eaten by rats or caught in a house flood. See, a book's condition is extremely important in terms of value. Hell, Marvel Comics number 1 once sold for $675,000, but a copy in better condition managed to net $2.4 million, and that's where the rating scale comes in. There are multiple companies out there that'll take your comic books and give them a grade, but the most famous and respected is the Certified Guarantee Company, or CGC for short. They rate comics on a scale of 0.5 to 10, docking off points of quality for things like tears, rips and folds, water and fire damage, rusted staples, and all that stuff, and then they encapsulate it in a slab of plastic so they can be shown off in all of their glory, or at least the front and back covers. Honestly, I've never understood why people care that much about graded comics. So to get an answer for that, and to also help me pin down what books I should be looking for in order to find the truly least valuable comic out there, I decided to reach out to my good friend Maggie. She owns a comic and toy store in Lexington, Kentucky called Toy Headquarters, and she runs a TikTok account where she is always showing off her rare graded comic books. So if anyone can help me out, it's her. What are the books that you can't even seem to give away?
a lot of those 90s comics that people just already have at their house. And when you're talking on a grander scale of, what we may have in the shop as far as key comics and slabs and things like that, if it's not in fantastic shape, people don't want it, which I totally understand. When I'm looking at the condition of a book to buy, let's say that it's not graded. I'm going to go through those pages and I'm going to see if anything has been folded or cut, if there's book stamps, from a bookstore. I'm looking at the condition of the staples to see if there's any rust on them, to see if any have fallen out or been removed, things like that. I'm looking at the cover to see if it's been touched up. I'm looking to see if it's faded, if it's been exposed to sunlight. There's a lot of different moving parts there to when you're kind of eyeballing a comic book to buy.
Who are the different companies that grade comics? And is there any preferential treatment for one company over another?
CGC and CBCS are the big two. We typically use CGC more than anything. It's a massive company. I mean, everybody's heard of a CGC graded comic book. The CGC grading process is essentially on a 1 to 10 scale, and a 10 being absolutely perfect, no flaws. Very rare that you find a book labeled as a 10.
What's the lowest rated comic that you've ever seen? Have you ever seen a 0 or a 1?
I have. I didn't bring it with me, but I have a 0.5.
You have a 0.5?
I have a 0.5.
Oh, okay.
It's Journey into Mystery 103, first appearance of Enchantress and the Executioner. I really didn't care that it came back as a 0.5 because, to me, it's still a really important piece of artwork and a really important piece of comic book history that is now protected in a slab.
You told me that you brought a few of your favorite books with you. Can you show them to me?
Yeah, okay. So this is from the first volume of Rainbow Rowell's She-Hulk.
I love that book, and I love her so much.
It's amazing. So this is issue number 2, and this was a Virgin variant that was done by David Nakayama, and he signed it down here on the side.
Can we get a close-up on that? Because I know for a fact that David is going to be watching this video.
Oh my gosh, hi David.
Yeah, David has been a longtime fan of the channel, and I always like to shout him out whenever possible. He's been super, super supportive. Love his work.
This is the first comic that he wears the red suit. It was the yellow and red yellow suit before. So this is a big book for me because this was kind of the outfit that really changed him as a character. Amazing Spider-Man number 50.
That's iconic.
Any single color of kryptonite has a first appearance. You know what I mean? A lot of animals, the first appearance of Crypto is a thing. There's a lot, and it doesn't always have to be a character or, an outfit, but sometimes it's just one character turns into this person, or someone absorbs the powers of someone else. It could be really anything. I'm
worried now because I think that for my project I'm gonna have to try to outwit the grader, because what if they catch something? I thought it was just a random 90s issue, and they go, actually it's the first appearance of Big Mouth Jones.
If I'm not sure, with your Superman comic, I'll use Key Collector Comics. It's an app, and so I typed in Superman because it's just Superman.
Action Comics 690.
Oh, that's actually a good one. It's not worth a lot, but that is the last son of Krypton becomes the Eradicator.
It is called Total Eradication. You're right.
Yeah, it's a tie-in to the reign of Superman.
Okay. All right, well, that's not going with me. I want to find a way to talk about how you destroyed that man on Threads.
I didn't know that was going to happen. I really did. I was just at the shop and saw his comment, and I was like, hey, Nathan, take some pictures of me real quick. And he was like, okay.
How can my audience support your shop?
We are online as Toy Vomit. The store is called Toy Headquarters. You can catch us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok.
Maggie, thank you so much for your time and for all of the great insight. After talking with Maggie, my game plan is set. In order to find the truly least valuable comic book, I should either be getting an overproduced 90s comic from smack dab in the middle of the speculator era, or an obscure independent comic with a limited run that the average person has likely never heard of and wouldn't want to buy from me. It should not be a key issue, and it definitely should not be autographed by someone involved with it. And the comic should be in the worst condition possible. So in order to double check, I'm going to go to the CGC itself to ensure that I get that infamous 0.5 rating so that I know for a fact that it is the bottom of the barrel. So after scouring my local comic book shop's bargain bin, I have found 2 issues that I think might be a prime...
Greg,
What's up?
Greg, it's a little windy. You got your windsock on you?
No, I don't have a windscreen. Improvise. Hey, no free feet pics. So after scouring my local comic book shop's bargain bin, I have found 2 issues that I think might be prime candidates for the least valuable comic out there. The first one is Superman the Man of Steel, number 29 from 1994. As far as I know, this is not a key issue. There is no first appearance of any major character. It's not in the middle of an important event, and they produced so many of these because it was the heyday of the 90s. The second one is Augusta Wind number 3. I believe this is 2013. This is by James D. Mateus, who is a writer that I actually like, but I have not heard of this issue, and if I've never heard of this series, there's a great chance that you haven't either. Both of these were in pretty good condition, but if we want these to truly be the least valuable comic out there, then we're going to have to do a little bit of destruction to lower the market value. Let's have at it. All right, let's put that out. Anyway, a gust of wind. Little Fortnite emote on it. Frisbee. You know what I haven't done since I was a kid? I haven't made a paper airplane. You're not involved in the comic industry in any way, are you?
No.
Cool. Can I get your autograph?
Sure. Origami?
Bad at origami. Run over them with my car? Did I get it? The car actually didn't do as much damage as I was expecting. It's in pretty good condition. So shoutouts to IDW for printing off from really good quality issues. So I think we're like done with this one. I think we're gonna mostly focus on Superman and see how we can destroy it further. I feel like I want the cover to actually be on the issue. Yes, I don't really know what else we can do to this. Like it's pretty destroyed. Oh, it's so looby. I'm just gonna let this sit outside for like the next couple days. And we'll see how it looks then, I guess. It's tasty as hell. Cool, I'm gonna wash my hands. Now, I could ship the comic off to CGC to get it graded, but I want to go the extra mile to actually get the process on camera for you, which it means I'm gonna have to travel an hour south of Tampa, Florida, so I did, and luckily it was made a lot easier by the sponsor of today's video, Manta Sleep. This is legitimately the best product that I have ever been sponsored by because Manta Sleep makes these high quality sleep masks that have permanently changed how I rest. They are extremely high quality, super comfortable, and can be easily adjusted to perfectly fit you. I personally have the Pro Mask with its 100% blackout and zero pressure eye cups, which really came in handy because even though my hostel was super cute, some of the other dudes in my dorm like to keep the lights on past midnight, and I legitimately did not notice because I was wearing my mask. Manta Sleep has all kinds of masks, including ones with weighted, heated, or cooling pads, and even ones with Bluetooth speakers and aromatic dots. For the love of God, please click the link in the description or use the code ComicDrake at checkout to get a discount, because on top of just being a great product, their marketing team has been some of the kindest that I have ever worked with in my entire YouTube career, and I would love for them to sponsor more videos in the future. So once again, big thank you Manta Sleep for helping me film on location in, but now let's get back to it. On the way to CGC, I filmed a quick collab with my good friend and Florida man, Billiam, and used it as an opportunity to get in a little more destruction on my book.
Little stinky leg on it.
Oh, you dislodged a page there.
Sorry.
It's okay, with the staples. You can take that, little souvenir.
I can take him any day.
And then I also met up with my good friend Yehoshua from Wrestles with Gaming, who was kind enough to film everything that you see moving forward. So after a long drive, we have made it to the CGC, and we are going to get our book graded. This is where they said the magic happens. Let's go say hello. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Drake.
Doing all right. Drake.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at this book. Okay. Who are you? And what do you do here at the CGC?
So my name is Matt Nelson. I'm the president of CGC.
Oh, okay. I'm sitting down with the head honcho.
Yes, the guy.
Okay.
Yes. So I've been here for 11 years, and CGC's been open for almost 24 years now. And but I've been working with CGC closely since they opened. I've been in comics since I was a kid in the 80s. I'm the head honcho at CGC.
Whenever you are grading a book, like what exactly are you looking for to give it a high scale? And like, so it goes from 0.5 to 10?
Yes.
There's no 0?
Well, there is no 0. We have a no grade, which basically is like not a grade. It's not on the scale, but it's something like if we're grading like a page or a part of a book. But if the book's complete, mostly complete, or even incomplete, we'll grade it. And 0.5 to 10, 25 different grades on that scale.
How much of a book needs to physically be there in order for it to receive a grade? Otherwise, because it's like what, one page is a no grade?
That's an excellent question. Yeah, so our delineation is at least half the book has to be present for it to actually land on the scale of 0.5 to 10.
So what kind of books do people bring to you to get graded? Like what makes a valuable comic book?
Interesting. Well, we get everything. We get everything from the oldest comics from the 30s all the way up to comics that were released yesterday. Mm-hmm. And what makes a comic valuable really depends on obviously grade, rarity, and most importantly, the importance of the book itself. Certain factors that make it collectible to a person, and that could be a first appearance, or a classic cover, or a first issue in a run. So, for instance, an Action 1 or an Amazing Fantasy 15, which is the first Spider-Man, Action 1 being the first Superman, you've got all three.
I understand there is competition, but to be blunt, CGC is generally the gold standard when it comes to grading comics. What do you think sets you guys apart from the competition and makes you guys so special?
Well, we were first to market, so that's a big thing. We've graded millions and millions of comic books, but we also have very stringent grading standards and a great holder and a great team. And so I think that the books that we've graded, the customers, we've built that trust with them over the years. And so they trust the brand, and when those books are in our holders, people really value that a lot. And I think that's why CGC brings the highest prices in the market. I
have a book that I'd like for you to take a look at today.
Okay.
It's very special to me, and I would like to see what it could possibly get on your scale.
Okay, let's see it. I can't wait to see what this looks like.
I would love to see what you think of it.
Wow, okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow.
Were you told anything about this before we came in?
I was not.
Well,
wow.
Feel free to take a look. We gave it a lot of tender love and care.
Oh my God. This might be one of the worst comics I've ever seen. Oh, geez.
So we obviously did some tears, put it in a fire pit for a little bit. The cover came undone. We thought that it might be important for you to still have the cover. So that's been taped back on.
And it was in your pocket too.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was on my pocket through the entire flight over here.
Wow, this is incredible. Wayne's World, I love that ad. Well, this is something. This is probably the lowest graded modern comic we've probably ever seen, or at least I've ever seen. Oh, I got the singe in the top corner here as well. So how we grade this book? Well, the first thing we do is we count the pages to make sure it's complete.
Sure.
And right off, immediately, obviously the book's not complete because the back cover's missing. It's obvious that 2 pages are missing in addition to the back cover. So this is even worse.
Oh.
Past that point, now I'm going to assess the defects on the book, which obviously there's many. It appears that the cover there's tape on the spine here. I guess it came loose at some point and it was reattached with tape. There's singe marks here from it being burnt in the corner. There's some kind of staining on the back cover. I think you mentioned
that's olive oil.
Olive oil.
Now, for the paper quality, I know that The vibrance of the color is very important in the grading process. Would this be considered yellowed pages?
These are not white. Yeah, these would be, I mean, they're actually not bad. They're off-white to white. Typically, for pages to turn brown, they've got to sit in a hot environment for years.
It just had my porch for a couple of days.
I know, yeah.
We couldn't really get that effect yet.
Yeah, that one might take a little bit more time. But, so this is actually, the page quality is actually pretty decent. But structurally, the books are wrecked. You've got obviously the singe mark took a big piece out here. You've got all these tears through the front, a lot of creasing. And staining. So this has pretty much got a little bit of everything going on. This is pretty bad.
We do have an autograph right here from my previous cameraman.
Oh yeah.
He is not involved in the comic industry. I don't know if that would affect the rating at all.
Well, in this grade, no. But yes, if it was a high grade book and it had writing on the cover, we would downgrade for that. Sure. Now, if it was a celebrity or a comic book creator like Stan Lee that had signed that would actually that would go in our SIG series program or authentication program.
So this does not qualify for the signature series.
No, yeah, because this is much lower grade. So only high grades it would affect that. Okay. But it certainly adds to the defects in this case. So yeah, given all the defects going on, I mean, this book would get a 0.5 because the front cover is still there. Okay. The back cover missing is a 0.5. A couple of missing pages would be a 0.5. But because more than half of the comic is present, we would actually assign it a grade on that scale, 0.5 to 10. Sure. And it would be a 0.5.
Do you think that a no grade would be like a lesser value than a 0.5?
It would be, yes.
Okay.
But in some cases, maybe not, because centerfolds are very valuable. I know that sounds a little strange, but there's a lot of incomplete comics from the Golden Age, like Action 1. So if you have an Action 1 missing a centerfold, but then you have a centerfold over here from another copy, just that centerfold could sell for as much as $50,000.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and so in that case, if we graded the centerfold, that would be a no grade, yet worth a ton of money.
Well, I worry because what we're going for is the world's least valuable comic. So all of this is music to my ears. My only concern is that if we get rid of half the comic, then it wouldn't necessarily be a comic book anymore. It would be a collection of comic pages.
Yes.
Because look, I'm happy to just tear into that comic right now and get that NG rating. But also part of me thinks the 0.5 is nice in its own way because it actually still is on the scale and it is the lowest. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say with the 0.5.
So we're gonna leave it intact. We're not gonna go for the no grade.
I think the comic has suffered enough.
Okay. Well, and that hang on. I feel like I should just take one for the road. I mean, this is gonna be encased in plastic. That's gonna be for me. Just so you know, my normal collection is not this mangled.
Well, you know what? Actually, for us, it's a little cathartic because we have to carefully handle books all day.
You do not have to carefully handle. If you want to treat it with the respect that you normally would, I will not blame you.
Oh, that's fine. No, with this one, I'm going to treat this one with care because it doesn't belong to me. Sure. Even though we're shooting for the lowest grade possible, I think this is about as bad as it needs to get. I think we could possibly do a tour.
I would love to take a look at that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go do it.
And do you know if we'll be able to actually film the slabbing process?
That's it. I think we can do that as well.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm excited for the souvenir.
Yeah.
Let's take a look then.
This is Dale, Operations Manager
Hi.
at CGC.
Pleasure to meet you. So we're being handed off to you now for the process, right?
That's right.
Okay, so what are you going to be doing with this issue?
Encapsulating it. So the way that the book is taped, the cover's taped back on. It's missing the back cover. So the front cover was reattached with tape, but the problem is it was taped askew. And so it's sticking out here and it's sticking out here. So it's making the book larger than the actual size of the comic book. So that's going to be a problem in encapsulation because we're going to have to get a bigger holder. We want to get this in a regular size comic.
I mean, I could probably,
You straighten that cover up?
Yeah, I could probably...
You don't want to damage it. You just tear that back cover right off. Oh, wow.
Okay, I feel that's a bit more straight. So you guys think you can take it from here?
Looks good to me. Let's get it encapsulated.
Before our comic could be encapsulated, it needed to be assessed by a second grader that would confirm the rating and also meticulously catalog every single defect in the book's quality within their system. Because there were just so many tears and burns to take note of, CGC's marketing manager Ashley was kind enough to take us on a tour of the rest of the facilities while we were waiting. And man, Yahel and I were in for a real treat. We got to get an up-close and personal look at ancient coins, check out the brand new video game grading department, and they even gave us some awesome 10-point Pokemon cards to take take home as a souvenir. I would love to show you photos and videos of their facilities because they are seriously impressive, but unfortunately we weren't allowed to document most of what we saw, so most of what you're seeing here is B-roll that was provided by the company. But when the second grader finished his assessment, Yahel and I got to watch the encapsulation process, and it was short but still really cool.
Well, they encapsulated our book. We got a rating of UGG. Let's peruse. They had to go by page to meticulously catalog every single defect and piece of damage out there. Like, this might be one of the worst looking slabs that I have ever seen in my life. And I kind of love it. I love that you can still see the tape there. And then they even took a picture, put it in the database, so if you scan the QR code, you can see it. But unfortunately, I feel like by making this big dedicated video about this issue, we've given it notoriety. And to make things worse, we got it encapsulated and officially graded at the CGC headquarters. So by trying to find and preserve the world's least valuable comic issue, this is no longer that.